Hey, YouTube world. We are back and having a happy Friday because baseball is back. So thank you for tuning in. Please download all of our episodes below and check out the Take It Easy podcast for us. So, MLB opening night kicked off last night. You got 14 more games today. It's going to be fantastic all around. I'm super excited for it. But an interesting situation broke out yesterday, and I know Ken Rosenthal wrote a great article for those of you who subscribe to The Athletic. You can check that out. But Juan Soto tests positive for COVID before the game begins on Thursday. His test was taken on Tuesday, went through an inter squad that day, and then went back to practice on Wednesday, and then figured out on Thursday. Now, obviously, there is the possibility that something could go wrong in the interim and that something could be passed around and contact tracing is applied, but in America, contact tracing hasn't necessarily been at its best so far. So we'll see how all that goes down in the future, but this is obviously just alluding to the issues that are going on, and I'm not sounding the alarm at all. Like, this is something that was anticipated. Of course, tests are going to take 24 plus hours to get their results. This was something that we anticipated. However, what makes this so fascinating is the fact that if more Nationals test positive, that's going to be the beginning of a PR breakdown for the MLB. And the only way they can keep this thing going is based on public relations. Now, are they pandering to public relations? Certainly. I mean, all the sports leagues are doing that at this point because they know they need the money and they don't want to make it seem like they need the money that bad, even if it's entirely obvious that they need the money that bad. And what is fascinating about Juan Soto's situation is that the Nationals are a shell of themselves now. And Juan Soto is going to be gone for a couple of weeks, and they don't have Anthony Rendon anymore, and Ryan Zimmerman is out for the season, and they added a DH, so you have to put another hitter in there. It's all strange, and the defending world champions marched out with Starlin Castro as their three-hitter yesterday, and Starlin Castro was the three-hitter on the Miami Marlins either last season or the year before. So this is the dynamic for the on-field product that's fascinating, is that as more people test positive, as Mike Trout goes to leave to have his first child, and that costs them maybe a week or 2 weeks of Mike Trout, all of this starts bubbling up, and then another COVID test hits positive, and then another star of Juan Soto's caliber goes down for a team, and all of a sudden the whole landscape is changed. And with 16-team playoffs now in baseball, it makes everything crazy because everyone's going to get a shot here. And if you look at the Nationals, I looked at that team yesterday and they got a strong pitching staff, certainly. And yes, they were playing the Yankees. But if you look at that lineup, a lineup that helped carry them to a World Series title, despite the fact pitching was their strong suit, it's a shell of themselves now. Their best players are gone now. Juan Soto's going to obviously be gone for a couple weeks until he gets his 2 negative tests back. But if you look at the dynamic for all these teams, and let's assume the Nationals don't have any more positive tests and contact tracing worked and everyone was totally fine. The Nationals are one team that has totally fallen off the grid at this point. Other teams are going to be better and get better, and other teams are going to experience either tough runs in the season or COVID playing a factor. And it was the first game of the season that we really started to look at what a team could look like if one of their best players goes down with COVID. Again, the Nationals had 1 hit the entire game. That's a credit to Garrett Cole more than anything else. But Washington found themselves in a really, really tough position, and they're going to be in that same position for a couple weeks now. And if you've got to finish top 2 in the NL East to make the playoffs, maybe top 3, because the NL Central might have one wildcard team and the West might, and it's all complicated. The Nationals are going to certainly want to get one of those top 2 spots, whether it comes with the Braves winning the division and them being second just like last year. If they win the division, if the Mets win and then they're fighting with the Braves, if the Phillies are competing for that spot, it's all going to be out there crazy kind of madness, and we don't know how the schedule is going to play out. Like, it's going to be really weird to see how all of that comes together, but the Nationals still find themselves battling uphill because Juan Soto is gone, and that's the key point, is that more teams are going to have that happen. Obviously, the worst case scenario is an outbreak where you lose 4 players on your team, but even just losing Juan Soto really sucks for the Nationals for an extended period of time. Now, baseball's weird like this, where the best players can go off the team and you still be fine. The Nationals won the World Series a year after Bryce Harper left, and you can be totally fine. Like, the Nationals could totally turn this around and go 6-4, and then Juan Soto comes back and they're right in the mix for the postseason. If that happens, it's probably probable, but again, he does add a lot of wins to their total, and wins above replacement is a generally really good way to determine who the best teams and who the best players are. So it's a fascinating situation that we will continue to follow, of course, because if you're paying attention to baseball, like, hallelujah, sports are back and baseball is back, and today is just going to be a total baseball mayhem calamity, and it's going to be totally awesome.